Let me ask you one question that might ruin your appetite for the rest of the day, perhaps for the rest of your life, if you have the courage to look the truth in the eye. But I'm willing to bet you'd prefer to keep your eyes shut and return to your sweet slumber because waking up will cost you too much. Do you think inflation is when eggs get more expensive at the supermarket, or when gas goes up a few cents at the pump? Do you think it's just a pesky nuisance, a weather phenomenon you just have to endure by tightening your belt? If that's what you think, then you're an idiot. And I'm not saying that to bruise your fragile ego. I'm saying it to try and pull you out of the burning house you've decided to nap in. Inflation isn't a rise in prices. It is the greatest marketing ploy in the history of economics, designed to hide the scene of the crime from you. Inflation isn't when things become more expensive. It's when your money becomes trash. And along with it, everything you exchange for that money turns to trash too. Your time, your health, your life. Right now, at this very second, as you stare at this screen, someone invisible has reached into your pocket and stolen hours of your life that you spent at work last month. The most terrifying part of this crime is that it is absolutely legal. It's written into the laws, and you signed the consent for this robbery yourself the moment you decided to store the fruits of your labor in colored paper. Think I'm being overly dramatic? Let's perform an autopsy on your financial reality. What is money? You think it's a medium of exchange? No. Money is canned energy. It's a battery into which you pump your lifetime. You go to work, you tolerate your boss, you miss your kids' school plays, you ruin your eyesight and your nerves. For what? To convert those irreplaceable biological resources into numbers on a screen, hoping that someday in the future you can trade those numbers back for life, for food, for warmth, for freedom. You make a deal with the future. I'll work now so I can rest later. But inflation is the acid the system pours into your battery. You worked, you sweated, you sold your life to save $100. You put it in the bank. You think it's safe? At that exact moment, in some mahogany-clad office, a group of people in expensive suits whom you never elected decides to print another trillion of those same papers to plug the budget holes they created with their own incompetence. They hit the print button, and instantly, by the law of communicating vessels, the value of your $100 drops. You did nothing. You didn't spend a cent, but you became poorer. Someone stole those 2 hours of life you spent earning that money. You think it's a tax? No. A tax is when they come to you and honestly take a portion. Inflation is a breaking and entering where the burglar leaves all your furniture in place but changes its essence, turning your gold into lead. It is an invisible tax on your biological existence, and you pay it every day without even noticing that you become a slave running faster just to stay in the same place. You look at the price tags and get angry at the stores. You're mad at greedy corporations. You're looking in the wrong direction. That's a smokescreen. The store is simply reacting to the fact that the money has died. You think prices are rising? No, prices aren't rising. A house that cost $50,000 30 years ago costs $500,000 today. Did it become 10 times better? Does it have 10 times more rooms? No. It got older, the roof leaks, the pipes are rusted, but it costs 10 times more. Why? Because the dollar you're using to pay for it has rotted from the inside. You are trading your priceless, unique hours of life, hours that will never return, for a currency they print faster than you can blink. It is the stupidest, most tragic deal in human history, and you make it with a smile because they told you 2% inflation is good for the economy. Good for whose economy? For the economy of the person who prints the money and spends it first. But you are at the bottom of the food chain. You get the money last after prices have already spiked, and you pay for the banquet with your time. Feel that chill down your spine? That's not a draft. That's the realization that your saving strategy is a suicide strategy. You're acting like a squirrel gathering nuts for winter, but storing them in a hollow tree with no bottom. You work more, you take side gigs, you demand a raise, but you cannot outrun the printing press. It is physically impossible. You are playing a game where the rules change while you play and never in your favor. You think you have savings? You don't. You have an illusion of deferred consumption that is melting like ice in the sun. Every 10 years, half of your effort is erased by history's eraser. You work 10 years, and the system turned the result of 5 of them into dust. Are you ready to work for free for half your life? Because that is exactly what you are doing when you hold cash. But here is the twist that will make you feel betrayed. Do you think the government is fighting inflation? You watch the news where serious people furrow their brows and promise to curb price growth. And you believe them like a child believes in Santa Claus. But the truth, cynical and brutal, is that inflation is not a mistake in the system. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It is a tool. It is the only way the state can pay off its gargantuan debts without declaring default. They borrowed trillions they can't pay back honestly. So, they decided to pay them back in worthless paper. And who pays the difference? You. Your pension, your children's education fund, the vacation you saved 3 years for. You are the lender of last resort who got swindled, and you didn't even realize it happened. They are saving themselves at your expense, burning your time in the furnace of their inefficiency. You think you're safe because you have a good salary? You're naive. A salary is the most vulnerable asset in the world. It always, hear me, always lags behind inflation. Prices take the elevator, your salary takes the stairs, and it's out of breath. While you wait for a measly 5% cost of living adjustment, the real cost of your life has gone up by 15%. You've become poorer even if the number on your paycheck got bigger. This is called money illusion, the drug that keeps you calm while you're being robbed. You celebrate the raise, not realizing you can buy less with it than you could a year ago. You're running up a down escalator that's accelerating every day. You think you can wait it out? That it's temporary? History is laughing at you. History knows that fiat money always returns to its intrinsic value, 0. It's only a matter of time. And right now, the clock hands are spinning at a frantic speed. Still think this is just economic theory? Look at the elderly in the supermarket, counting coins and choosing cat food over meat. You think they were lazy? You think they didn't work? They worked just as hard as you. They believed in the system. They saved money. And the system betrayed them. It devoured their savings, leaving them only pride and poverty. That is your future. That is what waits for you at the end of this tunnel if you don't wake up right now and realize that the rules you were taught in school, work hard and save money, are a lie leading to catastrophe. You aren't an investor. You're a victim. You aren't a citizen. You're a donor. And your blood, your time, is being pumped out of you every day to keep a monster alive that will never be full. Are you ready to keep feeding it? Or do you have the courage to admit you've been conned and start looking for the exit before the door slams shut for good? Let's strip away the emotion. Let's wipe away the tears and the whining and leave only one tool on the table that doesn't know how to lie, doesn't know how to pity, and doesn't know how to fudge the facts for political gain. Let's look at cold, brutal, icy arithmetic. Arithmetic is the language in which God wrote the laws of the universe, and ironically, it's the same language the devil used to write the bylaws of the modern banking system. But you, in your blissful ignorance, refuse to read the fine print. You think inflation is a complex economic term for the suits on Wall Street? Wrong. Inflation is a personal death sentence for your efforts, and that sentence has a clear mathematical formula that bankers know by heart, but hide from you like a state secret. It's called the Rule of 72. If you don't learn it right now, you are doomed to live the life of a hamster spinning a wheel connected to someone else's generator. The rule is laughably simple. Divide 72 by the annual inflation rate, and you get the number of years it takes for your money, your canned life, to turn into half. You'll say, "But Charlie, official inflation is only 3%. And here's the first plot twist that should make you feel like a cheated child. Official inflation is a lie. It is a statistical manipulation designed to keep you from taking to the streets with pitchforks. They count the cost of TVs that get cheaper, but ignore the cost of housing, healthcare, and education that are launching into the stratosphere. Real inflation, the kind that hits you in the face every time you try to buy something meaningful, is at least 7%. In bad years, it's 10% or 15%. Let's take an optimistic 7%. Divide 72 by 7, you get roughly 10. Think about that number, 10 years. This means that every 10 years, half of everything you earned, saved, and set aside by denying yourself pleasure simply vanishes into thin air. Not physically. The numbers in your account might stay the same, but their power, their ability to change your reality, is cut exactly in half. You set aside $100,000 for retirement, thinking you secured your peace? In 10 years, that's the equivalent of $50,000. In 20 years, it's $25,000. In 30 years, when you actually need medicine and care, your life's work will have $12,000 of purchasing power left. You worked your whole life to save dust. You think you're accumulating wealth? No, you're working for a printing press. You are a volunteer in a forced labor camp where your job is to support the value of the currency with your sweat while the state dilutes it with new emissions. You are running on a downward escalator, and every year it speeds up. In your youth, you run fast and it feels like you're making progress. But the moment you stop to catch your breath, and you will stop, because no one can run forever, the escalator will drag you to the bottom, into the basement of poverty. You are storing your life force in a leaking battery. You call it savings. I call it financial suicide stretched over time. You think the bank is where money is kept? That's another illusion you've been sold. The bank is where money goes to die. You put money in a deposit at 5% interest and feel like an investor. My money is working, you say proudly, but if real inflation is 10% and the bank gives you 5%, your real return is minus 5%. You aren't earning. You are paying the bank for the privilege of watching your money melt slightly slower than it would under your mattress. It's not an investment. It's anesthesia. The bank pays you that measly interest not out of generosity, but as a bribe so you won't take your money out and buy real assets while they still cost something. You think the system is broken? No, the system is working perfectly. It's just not designed for you. It's designed to siphon wealth from those who hold paper, you, to those who print the paper and own assets, them. And this is where the Santa Barbara effect happens, when you realize the person you thought was your protector is actually your executioner. You think the state protects your savings? The state is the primary beneficiary of inflation. The state has trillions in debt. How do you pay off debt when you have no money? Simple. Devalue the currency the debt is denominated in. Inflation is the state's way of defaulting on its obligations to you without saying it out loud. They borrow full dollars from you and pay you back with play money worth 50 cents. And you accept it. You nod. You keep working. You think it's a natural process. It's not nature, it's theft. It is the largest redistribution of wealth in history, happening right under your nose while you watch Netflix and argue about politics. You're probably thinking, but Charlie, if it's this bad, why doesn't anyone revolt? Because the process is slow. If they took 50% of your money overnight, you'd burn the bank down. But when they take 7% a year, you get used to it. You adapt. You start buying cheaper food. You skip vacations. You call it the new normal. This is the boiling frog principle. You are the frog. The water is heating up, and you're almost cooked. Feel that fatigue? That's not age. That's economic pressure. You have to work more to buy the same things you bought 5 years ago with less effort. That is the price of inflation. It doesn't steal your money, it steals your rest. It steals the time you could have spent with your kids. It steals the health you ruin. With overtime, you think prices are rising? Flip the binoculars. Prices aren't rising. A house that costs $1 million today is the same house that cost $100,000 30 years ago. It didn't get better. It got older. The roof leaks, the pipes are rusted, but it costs 10 times more. Why? Because the money you pay with has turned into garbage. You are trading your priceless hours of life, hours you will never get back, hours when you were young and full of strength, for trash the state prints by the trillion at the push of a button. You are trading the unique for the mass-produced, the finite for the infinite. It is a fool's bargain. You are selling diamonds for glass beads. And you hope those beads will save you in your old age? That's not naivety. It's criminal negligence toward yourself. Do those numbers in your bank account make you feel calm? That is a false sense of security. Those numbers are a mirage. Until you exchange them for something real, they are worth nothing. In Weimar Germany, people had millions of marks in their accounts but died of hunger because a loaf of bread cost $1 billion. You think that's just history? It's a script that repeats over and over because math doesn't change. Fiat money always gravitates toward its intrinsic value, 0. It's only a matter of time. And right now, as you listen to me, the printing press is running. It doesn't stop for a second. It dilutes your labor like a dishonest bartender diluting beer with water. You work, and your beer gets more watery. You drink, but you can't get drunk. You earn, but you can't get rich. You are in a trap, and the walls of this trap are made of the paper you prize so highly. Are you ready to see the exit, or do you prefer to wait until the water in the pot boils over completely? I know what you're thinking. I can literally hear the panicked, hopeful whisper of your inner defense attorney trying to protect your fragile worldview from the sledgehammer of my logic. You're sitting there telling yourself, "But Charlie, you don't understand my situation. I'm a valuable employee. I'm a professional. I just need to wait for the annual raise. I'll get a promotion, a bonus, and that will cover inflation. It'll be fine." Do you really believe that? Do you truly think the system that prints money to steal your time left a side door open for you to carry the stolen goods back out? Stop lying to yourself, because that lie is costing you more than any truth, however bitter. Your hope for a raise isn't a strategy. It's a hallucination. It's the anesthesia they give you before the amputation so you don't kick while they cut off your future. You think a raise is a reward for your labor? No, it's a bribe. It's a cynically calculated pittance, measured to the millimeter, just enough so you don't starve or quit, but never enough for you to become independent. Let's look at this through the lens of brutal arithmetic, not the rose-colored glasses of your ego. Suppose you got a 5% raise. You feel like a winner. You go to a restaurant. You open champagne. But real inflation, the kind in the receipts, not the newspapers, was 10%. What actually happened? You didn't get 5% richer. You got 5% poorer. You're running forward, but the treadmill under you is moving backward twice as fast. You work just as hard. You spend the same hours of your life. You feel the same stress, but you receive fewer real goods in return. You are Alice in Wonderland, having to run as fast as you can just to stay in the same place. But unlike the fairy tale, you are aging. Your strength is fading, and the treadmill is only accelerating. You think prices are rising? No, your money is melting in your hands like snow, and the fact that they piled another handful of snow on top doesn't change the fact that by evening, all you'll have is a puddle of water. And here, the plot twist happens. Worthy of the darkest thriller, the moment you realize the trap has snapped shut, not just from the front, but from the back. You think inflation is your only enemy? Turn around. Look at the tax system. When they give you a raise to compensate for inflation, something monstrous happens. You get more slips of paper that are worth less, but the state looks at that pile of paper and says, "Wow, you're rich now. You owe us more." You get bumped into a higher tax bracket. They take a larger percentage of your devalued money. This is called bracket creep, or cold progression. And it is the most brilliant trick the state ever invented to shear the sheep while they sleep. The government creates inflation by printing money, prices rise, your nominal salary goes up, and the state collects more taxes without ever passing a single unpopular tax law. Do you see the beauty of the scheme? You are robbed twice, first through prices, then through taxes, and you thank your boss for the raise. You aren't winning. You're being played. You are being boiled slowly, and you aren't even trying to jump out because the water heats up gradually and it feels like a warm bath. You think you can outrun inflation with career growth? Look at the real estate market. It's the best indicator of your defeat. You save for a down payment. You're disciplined. You set aside $1,000 a month. In a year, you've saved $12,000. You're proud of yourself. But in that same year, the house you wanted went up by $50,000. The finish line moved further away than the distance you ran. You didn't get closer to your goal. You moved further away despite all your effort. Your savings are static. Assets are dynamic. You're trying to catch a Ferrari on a bicycle. And even if they give you a faster bike, that raise, you still won't catch the Ferrari. You're playing a game where the rules are written so you never own the field. You only rent a spot on the bench. Why do you keep believing in a salary? Because it's comfortable. Because it removes responsibility. If you believe the boss and the state will care for you, you don't have to study investing. You don't have to take risks. You don't have to think. You can stay a child. But inflation has no parental instincts. It will devour a child as fast as an adult. You are trading priceless hours of your life for trash that rots. You're building a sandcastle at the tide line, and when the wave comes, you try to build faster instead of moving to higher ground. You think $100 today and $100 a year from now are the same thing? That's schizophrenia. They are different currencies. A $20 and a $25 are different money, even if they have the same presidents printed on them. You are collecting coupons that are going out of style. But the scariest part isn't the money. The scariest part is that inflation devalues your dreams. Did you dream of retiring at 60 and traveling? Forget it. With this inflation, at 60 you'll be looking for a job as a security guard just to pay for heating. Did you dream of giving your kids the best education? Forget it. Universities hike tuition faster than any salary grows. Inflation shrinks your planning horizon to the size of a single month. You stop thinking in decades and start thinking about how to make it to next Friday. You transform from Homo sapiens into Homo surviving. And that is exactly what the system needs. It doesn't need free, independent thinkers with capital. It needs dependent, frightened workers who will cling to their jobs until their last breath because they're afraid to lose even the measly ration that is melting before their eyes. Do you feel that anger rising inside you? Good. Anger is the first stage of awakening. You should be angry not at the prices, not at the stores, but at your own naivety. You must realize that your strategy of working well and waiting for a reward is a victim strategy. Victims aren't rewarded, they are sacrificed. You are the fuel for the fire that warms the asset owners. As long as you cling to a salary like a lifebuoy, you are drowning. You need to let go of the buoy and start building a raft. You need to stop being a keeper of paper and become an owner of real things. But are you ready for that? Are you ready to admit that everything your school and parents taught you about money was a mistake? Or would you rather close your eyes, plug your ears, and hope the inflation crocodile eats you last? Spoiler, it's very hungry and it eats fast. So, what do you do when you realize your life is being stolen, your pocket has a hole in it, and the rules of the game were written by the cheats who own the casino? You can fall to your knees and cry. You can write angry posts on the internet cursing the government and bankers. You can take to the streets with a sign. But I will tell you a truth that will save you years of pointless struggle. The system doesn't care about your tears. It doesn't care about your signs. And it doesn't care about your fairness. The only thing the system cares about is the position you occupy on the chessboard. You cannot stop the printing press. It is an elemental force, a tsunami that will keep coming as long as fiat currency exists. But you can stop standing on the shore waiting to be washed away. You must build an ark. And that ark is built not of hopes or prayers, and certainly not of paper. It is built of assets. You must undergo a mental revolution that will scare you to death because it contradicts everything hammered into your head since kindergarten. Stop storing your life in money. Money is not wealth. Money is a coupon for wealth. And the expiration date on those coupons is coming sooner than you think. Rich people, the ones who survive every crisis and only get fatter while you get thinner, know a secret that lies on the surface, but which you stubbornly ignore. They don't hold cash. They hate cash. For them, cash is a hot potato that must be immediately tossed into something hard, something real, something that cannot be printed in the basement of a central bank. They hold assets, real estate, stocks in reliable companies, production facilities, gold, land. Why? Because those things have physical scarcity. You can print $1 trillion in an hour by pressing a button, but you cannot print a hectare of land. You cannot print a Coca-Cola factory. You cannot print a gold bar. And this is where the magic happens. What the poor call luck and the rich call hedging. When the government turns on the press and floods the market with paper, the price of bread goes up and you cry. But the price of stocks goes up too. The price of an apartment goes up. Land prices go up. The inflation that sinks your leaky raft of savings fills the sails of their yachts made of assets. Do you see the difference? The same water, the same wind, but a different result because your vessel's construction is different. If you own assets, inflation works for you. It revalues your property upward. You did nothing. You just owned the right thing, and you became richer in nominal terms while preserving your purchasing power. If you only have a salary and a bank deposit, inflation works against you. It burns your time. You must transform from a paper keeper into a shareholder. This is the only mathematical way to preserve the time you spent working. You're probably thinking, but Charlie, investing is scary. The market could crash. I could lose money. At that moment, you are falling into the trap of inverted logic set by your own fear. You are afraid of volatility, the fact that a stock price can fluctuate up and down. But for some reason, you aren't afraid of the guaranteed, inevitable, mathematically programmed devaluation of your money in the bank. You're afraid of losing 10% in the market, but you calmly accept losing 50% of your purchasing power to 10 years of inflation. That isn't caution. It's madness. You are choosing a guaranteed death by suffocation to avoid the risk of a bruise. The risk is not owning assets. The risk is staying in paper while the world is on fire. Think about the nature of things. What is a stock? It's not a lottery ticket. It's a share in a business. When you buy a share of a company that makes toothpaste, you are buying a share in a profit stream. Will people brush their teeth during inflation? Yes. Will the company raise the price of toothpaste when raw materials go up? Yes. Does that mean the company's profit will grow in nominal terms? Yes, which means your dividends and the stock price will grow. Business is a living organism that adapts to inflation by passing costs to the consumer. And who is the consumer? You. You, with your salary and your deposit. You are paying for the growth of the asset owner's profits. So stop being the one who pays and become the one who gets paid. Move to the other side of the counter. This doesn't require genius. It requires the courage to admit that the old strategy of saving under the mattress is dead. You think real estate is too expensive? You're looking for excuses. There are real estate investment trusts, REITs, that let you own a slice of skyscrapers and malls for the price of a restaurant dinner. You think gold is a barbarous relic? Gold has preserved its value for 5,000 years while hundreds of paper currencies turned to dust and vanished into history books. You think you need a lot of money to start? That's a lie. You need to start so that you get a lot of money. You must build an ark of assets before the rain of printed money floods everything. And that rain is already falling. You just call it price increases and open an umbrella full of holes. And here is one more secret that will make you rethink debt. Are you afraid of debt? Correct. Consumer debt is evil. But in a high inflation environment, debt can be your best friend if it's debt used to buy an asset. Imagine you took a fixed-rate 30-year mortgage to buy a house that you rent out. Inflation accelerates. Prices rise. Your rent rises because money is getting cheaper. The value of the house rises. But your debt? Your debt stays fixed in numbers, but in reality, it melts. Inflation eats your debt. You pay the bank back in cheap, worthless paper, but you own a valuable, hard asset. In this scheme, the inflation that kills the poor makes the rich even richer because they use leverage. They borrow money that will be worth less to buy things that will be worth more. You are doing the opposite. You are saving money that will be worth less to buy things that will be worth more. You are playing lose on purpose with a hustler. You must understand that there is no vacuum in economics. If someone loses, someone finds. Inflation is a process of redistributing wealth from creditors, those who keep money in the bank, to borrowers, those who own assets and debts. Right now, you are a creditor. You are lending to the bank with your deposits. You are lending to the state by holding its currency, and you are being robbed. To stop being a victim, you must become an owner. It sounds simple, but it is psychologically incredibly difficult because you have to go against the crowd. The crowd runs to the store to buy TVs when the currency falls. The smart investor sits back and buys shares in the factories that make those TVs. The crowd panics. The investor coolly sets traps for the cash flow. Are you ready to become an owner? Are you ready to accept that the peace of mind cash gives you is a false peace, like the warmth a person feels while freezing to death in the snow? He feels warm and cozy, but he is dying. You need to shake yourself awake. You need to feel the cold of reality. Your money is in danger. Your time is in danger. And the only way to save them is to turn them into concrete, into steel, into intellectual property, into a working business. You must freeze your time in a form that cannot be diluted by the water from the printing press. This is your only chance to come out dry when the dam finally breaks. And don't ask me when. Look at the price tags. The breach has already begun. The only question is, will you drown or will you float in your ark, watching the chaos from a safe distance? Remember one thing you'll never hear on the evening news, because if they said it, the whole social structure would collapse before morning coffee. Inflation isn't the weather. It's not a natural disaster, and it's not the wrath of gods to be humbly accepted. Inflation is policy. It is a conscious, cold, calculated choice made by people, some of whom you might have even voted for, to solve their problems at the expense of your future. They decided it's easier to steal value from your pockets via the printing press than to cut their spending or raise taxes openly. You can't stop the rain, but you can stop standing under the drain pipe with your mouth open, hoping for a drink when you're actually drowning. You think the system is broken? No, the system is working perfectly. Its goal is not your well-being, but the survival of the system itself. And for that survival, it needs fuel. Your savings are that fuel. Every day you keep extra cash on a card. Every month you rejoice that the number in your account hasn't decreased. You are a volunteer who is willingly, with a song and a smile, burning your lifetime in the furnace of national debt. You are working for free. You are a 21st century serf who thinks he's free because the chains have become digital and invisible. You look at me and think, but what can I do? I'm just a little guy against a giant machine. And here is the main plot twist, the moment of truth that separates the victim from the predator. You think your weakness is a lack of millions? No, your weakness is your passivity. You're waiting for a savior. You're waiting for a new president, a new head of the central bank, a new Messiah to come and say, "Stop robbing the people, let's go back to year 2000 prices." It won't happen. Never. Economic history is the history of devaluing currencies. The Roman denarius, the French livre, the German mark, the Soviet ruble, they all walked the same path, from gold to dust. The dollar, the euro, the yen are on the same road, just at different speeds. A savior isn't coming because saving you is economically unprofitable. It's more profitable to keep you in fear and dependence. The only person who can pull you out of this pit is you. But for that, you must stop being a keeper and become an owner. You must stop believing in paper and start believing in concrete, steel, land, and business processes. You must build your own personal gold standard because the state standard was abolished long ago. Are you afraid to act? Afraid to make a mistake? Let me show you an alternative that should make your hair stand on end. If you don't start investing, if you don't move your efforts into assets, your old age won't be the golden years from the pension fund brochures. Your old age will be a humiliation. You will stand in a pharmacy choosing between blood pressure pills or food for the cat, and you'll choose the food because the cat looks at you with reproach while the pressure kills you quietly. You will depend on handouts from children who are themselves drowning in inflation. You will curse the day you decided to just save. Is that what you want? Did you work for 40 years for this finale? If not, then your fear of investing should be tiny compared to your fear of guaranteed poverty. The risk of losing some money in the market is a probability. The risk of losing all your purchasing power in cash is a certainty. Choose your poison. I choose the probability of victory over the guarantee of defeat. You think this is cruel? The world is cruel. Math is cruel. Gravity is cruel if you jump off a roof. But if you build an airplane, gravity becomes just a variable in an equation. Inflation is your gravity. You can crash against it, or you can use its lift to fly. Asset owners love inflation. It makes them richer while they sleep. It shrinks their debts. It inflates the value of their holdings. You can be on that side of the barricades. The door isn't locked. The ticket in doesn't cost $1 million. It costs discipline and the abandonment of illusions. Stop being the victim that gets sheared. Become the one holding the shears. This requires a shift in mindset, a rejection of the little man role. You are not a little man. You are an economic unit that can either thrive or wither. The choice is yours, and you make it every time you get paid. Buy an asset or let the paper rot. And now, as we've torn off all the masks, as you have no arguments left to defend your inaction, I want to give you a reality check. I want you to perform an experiment that will hurt worse than an electric shock, but which is necessary to jumpstart your heart. Don't take my word for it. Believe your own life. Take your salary from 5 years ago. Find an old pay stub or a bank text. Remember that number. Now take your salary today. It's gone up, right? You feel proud? Now stop. Remember how much your grocery basket cost 5 years ago. Remember how much gas was. Remember how much the apartment you wanted cost. And honestly, looking in the mirror, answer this. Are you richer? Can you buy more square feet, more gallons, more high-quality food? Or are you just holding more coupons that are worth less? This is the scariest test of your life. Most of you will discover that despite career growth, despite sleepless nights and overtime, you have become poorer. You ran as fast as you could, but the wall moved further away. You lost the race without even knowing you were in it. And I want you to admit this publicly. I want you to write it in the comments. to see that you aren't alone in this trap. Don't write, "Thanks for the video." Write the truth. Write, "5 years ago, I earned X. Now I earn Y, but I am poorer." Or, if you are one of those rare, smart, cynical predators who listened to me before, write, "I beat the system. My assets grew faster than inflation." Let's look at this parade of reality. Let's see how many victims of the printing press are here and how many are captains of their own arcs. This won't just be a list of comments. It will be a census. The slaves and the free. Which camp do you belong to? I'm waiting for your number. And remember, math sees right through you.